Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, who's thinking about you and what do they really want to tell you right now? So there are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is the pink calcite. Group 2 is the orange calcite. And group 3 is the green calcite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection, then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. We chose the pink calcite. So I'm going to be using oracle cards only for this reading, and let's start by taking a look at who's thinking about you right now. Who's got you on their mind? Okay, we have the Waymaker, the Fountain, and the Sunstormer. So the Sunstormer energy is bringing forth somebody with a very intense personality. Even if they are quiet, they have a very strong personal magnetism. They may be somebody that draws a lot of attention, maybe in terms of their physical appearance, or again, energetically speaking, they seem to command respect within a room. People look to them as a leader. This may be somebody that works in a healthcare or healing profession where there are people that sort of flock to them or identify them as kind of a helper personality. This can be somebody who's almost an overgiver to the point where they may have a tendency to kind of drain their own energetic batteries, trying to show up for other people, maybe kind of overcommitting themselves, the type of person that sort of keeps themselves extremely busy at all times, and then may go through periods where they become kind of like oversaturated in other people's energy. They may experience burnout, go into hermit mode, the type of person that will, just kind of ghost everyone all of a sudden, or that you've experienced this with them before, where things might have been going well in the connection, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like a hot and cold sort of energy. The energy of the Fountain also speaks to a lot of emotional intensity, a lot of things that may have been held back up to this point in time in this connection on both your parts as far as expressing true feelings or deep feelings. It ties into almost like an avoidant aspect within this person, that there may have been at least one occasion where things were building, the momentum was flowing between the two of you, and it was entering that place where it seemed time, it seemed appropriate to have that conversation about sort of like, where is this connection headed? What are our intentions? What are your deeper feelings here? And it might have been kind of almost like clockwork. So maybe you've gone through the cycle a couple times with this person. Just when things start to be going or seem to be going really well, they may vanish again, or start to become very lukewarm in terms of what they've been giving to you in the connection. It feels that for a lot of people, though, this is going to be something where you may almost feel that it's a struggle to sort of maintain this individual's attention in terms of like a job that they may have that requires a lot out of them, family commitments that they may have that requires a lot out of them. Again, a tendency to sort of overbook themselves, overschedule themselves, as maybe somebody who's juggling work full-time, school full-time. They have a lot on their plate, it feels like, in a very sort of justifiable way. And so it might be a lot of frustration as far as kind of false starts in the situation. the type of person who may make big promises but struggle to really follow through on those. And some of that energy can speak to kind of emotionally avoidant aspects within them, but it feels to also be something where if you're resonating with these energies so far, you may be aware that it's almost like a struggle to compete, or that love and romance and relationships of that sort kind of take a back seat to maybe some of this person's kind of professional aspirations, a creative pursuit or passion that they are trying to get off the ground, or that they devote a lot of themselves to, or again, just something where they may get energetically drained. They may work in a very stressful position, or even be an empath, or some combination of those factors, to where when the times are really good with them, when they're having a really good day, when they've gotten enough sleep, when they haven't been there kind of meeting everyone else's demands and not their own, then it feels to be something where there's a lot of intensity, a lot of electricity between the two of you, reason to keep sort of investing hope in this situation. And then on those occurrences where maybe they have a hard time saying no to people, or just have a lot of people kind of relying upon them, depending upon them, maybe even legitimate reasons like they're trying to start something professionally or working through a course of study, that when there are times where these other sort of commitments or demands upon them sort of come to the surface, it feels very apparent, or may really make you kind of question sort of what are their motives here? How important is this connection? How important am I to this person? Because it's almost like your last priority in terms of what they're carving out time for in their schedule. With this energy of the Waymaker, this definitely can speak to geographic distance between the two of you, somebody you've been in no contact with for a period of time, a lot of starts and stops in this situation, and this may be kind of like a crossroads moment that you find yourself at. I don't know how much longer I can do this with this person. I don't know where they stand long term, even if it's something, and kind of especially if it's something where if they're in school, for example, and so there's a set period of time of, okay, they'll get their degree in this number of years, and so there's kind of been this understanding of, once my schedule clears up, or once these other things sort of wrap up in my life, then I'll have more time for you in this connection. And it feels to be that is something that might have been a promise you have held on to up to this point in time, but then it might sort of be at this place of struggle for you currently, sort of like a promise I made to this person, or a promise I made to myself to sort of ride this out, wait until the storms pass, and sort of see what we can grow and develop from that point. It feels like there may be a bit of second guessing on that part. So work that you may have done to kind of clear some things emotionally, raise your vibration, kind of reprioritize your own value and your own well-being, that it might be something where you had participated in kind of like the start-stop cycle with this person previously, but now it might be almost the question about, do I want to keep going around this merry-go-round with this individual on the premise that someday, a future point, things might change? Or is this time for me to maybe set some healthy boundaries and barriers, or even start to kind of disconnect from the idea of this person being able to show up for you in all the ways that you were hoping for, or to reciprocate in what you've been showing to them up to this point in time? So let me get a few more oracle cards just to get a little more clarification, a little more details as far as who this is that's thinking about you right now, and then we'll get into the portion about what they really want to say. So we have altar, dedication, broomstick, clearance, and moon, cycles. Yes, this moon energy right here is speaking about a lot of false starts and stops, hot and cold, back and forth with this person, deep emotional conversations that have yet to be had. This may be something, again, that when kind of like the intimacy between the two of you starts to build, that's the time, almost like clockwork, where they're disconnecting. They are creating excuses. They're starting to sort of reshift their priorities back onto other things in their life. This can also speak about cycles in terms of like school years or like a busy season for them professionally. A lot of things that they are working on behind the scenes. That this might also be somebody who's very secretive, kind of works in silence and lets success speak for itself. So even in terms of that energy of a crossroads of not knowing where you stand with this person, there may be limits as far as what they choose to or what they can tell you about whatever it is that they are doing behind the scenes, whatever it is that they are working on. Things having to do with factors professionally. Maybe there are aspects about their job that they can't talk about or that they don't want to burden you in the connection with. The connection might be so new or in such a fragile state that they're not wanting to offload or dump onto you as far as stress at work. And so it may be somebody who has a tendency to kind of bottle things up, and then again kind of lean into a cycle of burnout or even kind of passive aggressive or just kind of explosive outbursts as a result of not kind of processing or dealing with some of those heavier emotions appropriately or consistently. This idea of broomstick can definitely speak about somebody that you have given an ultimatum to. You've needed to sort of reframe or restructure your expectations in this situation on at least one occasion. There may have been some miscommunication or almost like plans that were made that were canceled last minute. A lot of struggle to kind of coincide people's schedules where again, there's almost a sense of feeling very swept under the rug. This may be somebody who has not introduced you to family or friends. You question, are they hiding this connection? Are they hiding it for the right reasons, for the wrong reasons? Sort of something where there may be kind of a lack of a very concise understanding. What is the nature of our connection? This definitely feels like the territory of situationship, something that may be very hard to define or hard to kind of pin this person down as far as what they're looking for in general. And this idea here with altar and dedication definitely speaks to many different things that they have going on in their life. Some of these things you may be aware of, some of these things you won't be aware of. For some people, there may be third-party situations involved, but it feels more broadly instead of just another romantic partner that this can definitely be third-party situations by way of like karmic family entanglements or just a lot of duties and responsibilities that they have towards family. This can be somebody that's co-parenting with another individual, so there's a need to kind of like work with that person's schedule and sort of everything associated with that. This can be somebody that has a very high stress, high demand job. They could be trying to open their own business or launch something on the side. They could be going, back to school or still in a process of kind of getting a degree. A lot of different things going on to where there's a questioning of sort of, is this even a viable situation in the long term? Is there going to be a place for me in this person's life? Or as things continue to kind of build and grow and develop for them, am I going to continue to be kind of like pushed toward the side? So let's see what this individual wants to tell you at this time. Okay, we have the blue flame, spontaneous awakening, activation, integration time. The void, stop, embrace winter, great cosmic womb. And messenger, serious energy, bringing harmony and balance. So this serious energy speaks to throat chakra, this speaks to communication, this speaks to a long overdue conversation that they are very much aware that they owe you. This is somebody who feels very uncomfortable by any silence that is stacking up between the two of you, either because this is a no contact situation or maybe their schedule has just been so demanding that it's been like broken promise after broken promise or extended periods of time where you're able to connect with one another. And it's a sense of them kind of acknowledging here from almost like the higher self, but it feels more like something that There's the intention and awareness that things can't go on like this. So there's a need to kind of redefine the rules of the connection, or to become very honest as far as, is this worth fighting for, or is it best for us to just call it quits here and go our own separate ways? That this feels to be something it's on their to-do list, but it might, again, for a lot of people, like legitimately, this is somebody that has a lot going on in their life in terms of physical demands on their time, demands on their schedule. For some people, it's just going to be an avoidant person who kind of doesn't want to have this uncomfortable discussion. But there's a sense of them almost really prioritizing giving you their full and undivided attention, and being in a place, relatively speaking, where they're allowing themselves time to have a discussion with you, whatever happens from that point. Either the forward progress of the connection or the redefining of the connection is sparked and initiated, or it's something where you start to kind of dissolve these kind of cords of anticipation between the two of you, that something more will develop in the situation. But it feels like they almost want to give themselves and you time to process the gravity and nature of what's discussed. Something that they may feel that's almost a couple different discussions or a series of discussions, something they don't really want to rush into. There may be a lot that they need to explain, and again, are kind of cautious about offloading onto you. It may also be because of sort of a fragile state of where your connection's at right now, that they are not wanting to jump to conclusions necessarily about what you are or are not feeling. But it may be something as well that they're trying to almost kind of honor themselves in terms of understanding that they're under a lot of stress and pressure, that this situation with you, in addition to everything else in their life right now, needs to be settled one way or another. But rather than kind of operating from a place of being very demanding, or being almost too direct in the nature of their conversation, there's a sense of them understanding that they need to take a breather. They need to kind of move towards you with a degree of patience, very deliberate words that are chosen and spoken, rather than somebody that just kind of opens up their heart and spills forth. That at this particular point in time, it's almost a sense of like, I'm not ready to cross that threshold yet, perhaps for very legitimate reasons, into, we're diving into these deep waters emotionally speaking, or we're focusing on building something or repairing something very substantial as far as the connection goes. But it almost feels to be something that's sort of like an update in a very realistic manner. That can tie into a difficulty to this conversation, because it may be something where they're needing to kind of confess for you, I don't think I can give you what you're looking for at this particular point in time. I don't know if you feel confident and comfortable in kind of waiting around for my situation to change. I don't know if that's fair to ask you to do that, or to expect you to do that, or to even kind of have that be one of the requirements of things progressing forward for the two of us, if they have like legitimate obligations elsewhere, that there's no kind of workaround for that, things that they're trying to build toward for their future. There's a sense of them almost wanting to prioritize everybody's well-being, but definitely kind of putting themselves at the forefront of anything that they're going to say. Like, self-protective mode is key. That can also really speak to wanting to avoid heavy and intense emotions, not wanting to add more stress onto their plate, in addition to not wanting to add more stress onto you at this point in time. But let's get a few more oracle cards, and then I'll get into some message cards from their higher self. Okay, we have birthplace of Aphrodite, emergence. My divine flow arouses creativity. Aphrodite and Aries, lovers. I follow my heart. And Saraswati temple, knowledge. I open my heart and mind. So there is a sense of deep affection here, love for some, or even kind of the stirrings or the suggestion of this connection, this chemistry, what we have with one another currently, what we've had with one another in the past. This bears all the markers and all kind of the symbology of what I imagine can develop into a deep and very profound love connection between two people. That's something that they very much acknowledge, but there's almost kind of this It feels to be something like like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's not an easy choice here. This definitely feels like somebody who has been working towards some sort of path, some sort of goal long before you came into their life. This can be, a childhood dream that they've been working towards, something, following in the footsteps of family. There may be a sense of kind of meeting those duties and responsibilities as well, kind of what's been expected of them, the standard that they've held themselves to, that at this particular point in their life, when relatively speaking, whether this is somebody who legitimately just doesn't have a whole lot of free time, or maybe they're just going through something emotionally speaking where they're kind of avoiding doing some work within themselves and kind of creating the excuse or leaning too much on kind of material factors as like, I have so much heaviness in my life that is creating stress, when in fact it could perhaps be something emotionally they're not dealing with, which is stressful for them. But it's almost the energy of, it's unfair to ask you to continue to wait for me. It's unfair to ask you to put your life on hold, but I have to see whatever I'm working toward at this time through to a place of completion. I'm willing to sacrifice the potential of what can develop between the two of us in order to meet my goals and obligations in other areas of my life. And so it feels to be something, though, that there can also be kind of this energy of wanting to take their time coming forth to speak to you. If it's somebody that you're in a no contact situation with, this feels like something where they may just kind of linger on the outskirts of your life. It may be something right now they're not in a position to reach out because there's not much that they can offer. But it's a sense of almost sort of not wanting to close the door completely to the possibility of you in this situation. Definitely curiosity as far as what can grow and develop between the two of us. What can be repaired in this situation? But it's almost like they're not investing too much confidence in you still being around when things have changed enough in their life or within themselves that they're willing to prioritize this connection, at least at this point in time. And this can definitely speak about a lot of things all at once, competing demands, something emotionally that they're kind of avoiding dealing with within themselves. And so it could be something where they're almost pushing away sort of the person who might help them kind of ride these waves of confusion, the safe space where they could kind of almost unplug or decompress from all these other stressors and factors. They're almost kind of pushing away sort of the remedy to what may be very sort of uncontrollable or unchangeable factors in other areas of their life. So it's an energy almost of kind of like save yourself, because I don't know when I will be emotionally available or even kind of logistically have enough time to be able to devote to developing something more between the two of us. But this might almost be kind of like an attitude of martyrism or martyrdom, where there's love here for you, there's affection here for you, there's a desire to see something more blossom in this situation, but it's almost like they're just so overwhelmed by what's happening in the present that they can't really focus or see or put too much faith on kind of a wider horizon at this point in time. So this might be something that's even kind of like a realistic checkpoint for you where they are legitimately at in their life right now, to where you may need to ask yourself, is this in my highest good to continue to hold space for this person? Or perhaps this is something that, challenges you to be that sort of rock, to be that very, sort of stoic presence within their life, to where whenever these other things kind of work themselves out or they move beyond those difficulties, that you might choose to sort of be that person that is there when they come out the other side of these storms that they are going through. So it definitely feels like something that it's a lot more than meets the eye in this situation. Whatever they may or may not speak to you, it feels that it's something that is only a fraction of what they're holding within. And it may just be something where in general they are someone who doesn't really know how to put words to emotions. That might not be their love language. And so especially when there's kind of this element of sort of like, do I choose love or do I choose more of like the concrete material path I've been working toward or building? It's a struggle for them to really even have this debate within themselves, let alone kind of open up and have a discussion with you about that as well. So let's get some message cards and get a little bit deeper into what they want to tell you right now. Okay, and they say I've been putting myself first and seeing that it's only hurting me more. So definitely an acknowledgement there that they have not prioritized you and this connection as much as they should have. It's a sense of they are giving all that they feel they can or very practically are able to at this particular point in time. There's an understanding that on more than one occasion they've made a decision to invest in something other than kind of fighting for this connection. They've made a choice to sort of prioritize other long-term goals that they have that in some way that they feel this connection competes with, or kind of taking time to spend time with you or have these discussions or even really sit and think about the state of the situation between the two of you. It feels that it takes away from someone who in general may just be very busy at this particular point in time. And so it's not that you don't matter, it's that they're almost kind of choosing themselves, and it hurts to do that. It's something that they are motivated by the success or by the sense of duty and obligation for whatever they are prioritizing at this particular point in time, but their heart is really calling them in a different direction. Their heart is calling them to find a way to include you within this plan in their life. Find a way to almost carve out more time or even just a small portion of time to invest in you in this situation. And they also say, I know we are being spiritually guided. So this can tie into some kind of larger sense of accomplishment or satisfaction in seeing some other kind of goal through to completion. There's a sense of this person understanding that you deserve the best version of them possible, and whatever they're working on currently, especially if it has to do with like career or financial success, in some way it feels that this contributes to their self-esteem or their view of almost kind of their usefulness in a connection, what they can contribute. Their love language definitely could be like gift giving, reciprocity, almost wanting to kind of meet you on equal footing, financially speaking, or even just in the sense of a degree of personal satisfaction with the life that they are living. And at that point in time, then it's almost like this is someone who will be willing to kind of explore, how do I then sort of fill in those spaces within kind of the world that I'm creating or cultivating for myself with love and romance. But at this particular point in time, it's almost like their higher self is encouraging them to see whatever it is else that they're working on. This can even involve like karmic cycles, that they're needing to sort of sit in. They may need to lose this connection in order to really evaluate kind of what matters. What is the nature of true wealth versus just kind of material acquisitiveness? How do they create space within themselves and within kind of their own sort of ability to rationalize importance? How do they carve out space for both of these things, both the spiritual wealth of healthy and emotional connections with other people, as well as kind of the material importance of creating personal stability and sovereignty for oneself? And they also say, I never meant to hurt you. It wasn't you, it was me. So again, this acknowledgement that this is not due to anything lacking within you. If there's been distance, if there's been disconnect, if they've seemed very distracted or have, been canceling plans or unable to kind of even really give the bare minimum at this point in time. And this doesn't apply if it's a situation of someone who's just being very kind of, self-centered and kind of mentally or emotionally manipulative. These energies really apply to somebody who legitimately and verifiably would have a lot going on in their life, where you'd be able to look and at this person and just say, yeah, they have a very tight schedule. They have a lot that they're working toward. This is a very ambitious person. So it's the sense of almost kind of, again, sort of prioritizing their idea of success, and in a way there's a part of them that almost kind of questions if a recommitment to a determined path that they've been walking toward, is this in their highest good, or is this something where if they lose you in this connection or they're not able to enjoy the opportunity to its fullest, is this something that they're going to look back on later in their life and regret, kind of sit with that energy of always wondering what if? They also say, I don't want you to be with anyone else. So there's definitely a possessiveness here, a sense of almost that it's not fair for them to ask for you to wait for them, to kind of complete whatever it is that they're working on, or reach a place in their life where maybe their confidence and self-esteem has improved to the point where they are then able to open their heart more. They feel that they have more to give because they're feeling better about themselves. There's a sense of hoping that you'll be there on the other side of whatever it is that they are going through, and also kind of a struggle that they're dealing with at this point in time. Like if they don't make their move, or they don't have a conversation to kind of explain to you what's going on, or if they do have that conversation and it doesn't go according to some kind of script or narrative where you tell them that you'll wait for them and you sort of move on and someone else takes their place by your side. There's a sense of that they've really entertained this. And as far as, can I live with this? Can I live with the reality of this? That what I am choosing at this particular point in time to invest in, that for whatever reason they have determined competes with sort of developing a connection with you or repairing a bond with you, is that something that they can live with the consequences of that choice? And they also say, I know you're my twin flame. So if you resonate with the twin flame concept, this can be a confirmation for you. This also speaks about the energies of transmutation, change, personal growth, personal magnetism. So this is a sense of, this is somebody who's been walking down a very particular path, very motivated toward a specific goal. Meeting you, it has blindsided them. It's changed everything. It's kind of wrapped them up into this energy of, I thought I knew what I wanted for myself, and now here is this other road or possibility that I might not have even considered before. So even if it appears very just direct in the nature of what they're speaking to you, or not speaking, kind of silent speaking volumes, there's a lot of internal chaos and turmoil that surrounds this decision. Is this really in my best and highest good to not make more of an effort to fight to preserve this, or to fight to rebuild this situation? And they also say, I've thought about you spending time with my family and me. So that can be a confirmation for some of you, where this is someone who is co-parenting. Maybe they have some family struggles or issues that they're working with, even kind of like toxic family bonds that are a struggle at this point in time. This can definitely be somebody that almost is keeping you at a distance because they don't want to involve you in kind of the toxic nature of what they have going on. It's maybe something where they're trying to gain a little more independence, create healthy boundaries and barriers with certain individuals, friends, family, or even kind of the karmic nature of some sort of career path or job that they have. But that's kind of the top priority, or maybe it's made itself a priority, or it's taken so much from this person up to this point in time that you almost represent kind of an alternative path for them that is very tempting, but at the same point in time, they're kind of looking around at the reality of the life that they're living and seeing it's not so easy to just incorporate you into that, or that there would be the need to kind of make some sort of a sacrifice of something that is taking a lot of their time and effort and energy, in order to have more of that time to be able to sort of pour into you in this circumstance. This can also, though, speak about on the other side of kind of whatever it is that they're needing to work on at this particular point in time. There's a desire to almost nurture the bonds between the two of you, or to start to explore that, to start to invest more in kind of cultivating tenderness between the two of you, or creating more inclusivity in some sort of way in their life for the prospect of something more developing between the two of you. But at this point in time, it feels like they're giving basically all they can, or are choosing to give, but it feels like for very legitimate reasons, at least according to their rationale. This doesn't really feel to be somebody that's like prioritizing another romantic partner necessarily. It's almost kind of just more sort of mundane, routine kind of things that they have going on at this particular point in time. And it's a struggle to kind of not have that time, or not make the choice to invest that time and effort, it feels like, in exploring something with you or developing something more with you at this time. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got U, M, U, V, V, S, P Y R B N R and D. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop. There's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've just added a bunch of new dream catchers to my shop if you're interested in seeing any of those new listings. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 2. Chose the orange calcite. So I'm just going to be using oracle cards for this reading, and let's start by taking a look at who's thinking about you right now, and then I'll get into the specifics about what they want to say. Okay, we have the Watcher, the Pest, and the Crystal Guardian. So this definitely feels to be somebody that has walked themselves out into the cold of your life and is now having second thoughts. They at one point in time could not see your value or worth to what they were hoping to cultivate for themselves in terms of having a family, in terms of looking for an emotional partner. This may have been somebody that had very specific things that they were looking for that fulfilled some kind of want that was feeding like an egoic level of desire. Since you've parted ways with this individual, it feels like they may have actually gotten burned in another connection with an individual who may have really fit some of those kind of more ego-based requirements, and they've had some kind of rude awakening or harsh realization that what they were calling in for themselves, or what they had maybe chosen instead of you, this could have been a third-party situation where they were juggling you and somebody else, and kind of chose to return to an ex, or chose to move forward with another person, did not choose you. There's a sense of that has come back around to bite them. They're seeing that they made the wrong decision because what they thought they wanted is not actually what they needed. What they thought they wanted, or who they thought they wanted, did not actually turn out to be who that person appeared to be. The idea of that individual, maybe the two of them carried the relationship forth, only to find out that things fell apart when it came down to like real world material, we're in a connection with one another, maybe living together with this other person, and kind of seeing that side of an individual. When you're up close and personal in that capacity with someone in a relationship, it feels like their blinders are now off and they're regretting a decision to not choose to invest with you in this situation. So it feels like someone who's been watching from afar. They may have come back at some other point and tried to get back into your good graces, maybe even just acting like nothing ever happened. And this may have been something where you kind of shut the door to them, you rejected them. Or there's a sense of they're just kind of lingering on the outskirts of your reality, assuming, and it may be a very logical or kind of rational assumption on their part, that you would likely not take them back after what has happened between the two of you, or what they've put you through. There's also a sense here of this may have been a period of time since you've been with this individual, like a whole other relationship could have happened. They could have gotten married and divorced, and are now in this place, or even if they're still in another connection, they're kind of watching you from afar and wondering what their life would be. It feels like if they had made a different choice, if they had seen your value and worth before. This also feels to be something where you may have gone through a rigorous process of trying to heal and release the experiences with this person in this connection. You may have gone through some sort of glow up. You're looking good, you're living your best life, you're kind of choosing yourself at this point in your reality in a lot of ways. And it feels to be something that it reflects, it shows, it's very apparent in your energy or in the life that you're living, maybe things that you're posting on social media that this person is able to sort of see from afar, or things that they've heard through the grapevine. So this can be somebody who, there may be a lot of like mutual acquaintances or people that you know in common. There could be a lot of threads as far as like family background, a lot of different connections that in some way it wouldn't be that out of the question for this person to obtain information about you or hear something in passing through like a third or even kind of, third party, or even sort of further removed sort of source that information would have somehow gotten to them at this point in time as far as what's going on with you, where you're at in your life. And it feels to be something that if they've gotten that information, it's initiated like a Google search. They've looked you up. They're most likely following or kind of watching from some sort of anonymous social media profile. Very much kind of just like looking and wishing that there was a way back in, or that they could turn back the hands of time and make a different decision as far as this connection goes. So let me get a few more of these cards, and then I'll get into some more in-depth information as far as what they want to say. Okay, we have Witch, Healer, Water, Cleansing, and Moon, Cycles. Yeah, it says energy of the moon. This is definitely somebody that you might have wrapped things up with. It feels like something as well with that kind of energy of the cleansing and the water. You may have really released this situation. You may have moved on into other connections. This almost feels to be the energy of you were maybe watching this reading hoping it would be a particular person, and it's like somebody else's energy that's coming through here, somebody you're not wanting to reconnect with. It feels to be almost pretty legitimate for a lot of instances when this person assumes that it wouldn't go well if they tried to come back in, or that you're just not participating. You've broken free from that cycle, maybe cycles in your own life, in your own kind of internal reality even, that might have created some sort of bond with this person, almost like a trauma bond situation. You've worked on some things, maybe you've healed some codependency, or you've really taken the initiative in the aftermath of what has happened in this situation to kind of alchemize some wounds into wisdom. This may be something that has kick-started you onto some kind of path as a healer or a self-healing practice. Maybe a spiritual practice, a spiritual awakening could have really happened in the aftermath of this, or this person, this experience, what you've needed to go through in order to heal and kind of regain your equilibrium or rebuild your life may have been very transformative for you on a lot of levels, to where you might almost in many ways be unrecognizable compared to the version of you that this person had passed by previously. And it's almost a sense of that they are sitting in this element of regret for having not appreciated your value and worth, like the version of you that you were when you were last interacting with them, and who you are now. It almost feels to be something which compounds this energy of, I really messed up by not seeing this person's potential. I really messed up by putting them through what they have been through. And they've kind of used that as the opportunity to better themselves, or they've risen beyond that situation, and I'm still stuck in my old patterns. So it feels like definitely something where you may have outgrown this person. This can also be something where this happened in kind of your remote past. It might have been decades since you last saw this person. This could be like first heartbreak sort of energy.
Maybe even something where it's been so much time, somebody could be going through like a midlife crisis, and all of a sudden, you know, they've got attention on you. Sort of, what would my life be if I had made a different decision as far as who I was building that life with? Kind of an energy here to where, and I'll get into some of those energies right now, and then some message cards in a minute as far as what they want to say. But it feels like for a portion of people, this is going to be somebody who just kind of watches from the sidelines. It's maybe kind of their karma to watch you lead your best life, or in some way relates to a lesson that they've needed to learn in this lifetime, maybe kind of a bigger theme in general, that not all that glitters is gold, and we don't always get what we want, but sometimes we get what we need, to quote the Rolling Stones there. Music might be something very significant. This person could be a musician, maybe a songwriter, or, you know, you sent playlists back and forth to one another, but it's a sense of almost kind of a harsh reality of sort of what their life could have been, or the value of kind of who you are or what you brought to the table that was missed the first time around, that they definitely are no longer oblivious to, or no longer in denial about. This could have been somebody that also pushed you away and sort of denied feelings, or you may have felt very led on by this person. In some instances, even catfished by this person. They could have had like a whole third-party situation, a whole other life that you didn't know about. For a lot of people, this is going to be a situation where it's almost good if they don't come back, because it might have been a very difficult kind of learning curve for you on the other side of this. But this is kind of the energy of like, they're now in a position within themselves where they are no longer kind of just outrunning what's happened. They're no longer sort of in the out of sight, out of mind kind of energy. This is the sense of their focus has definitely shifted back onto you in this situation with a lot of regret. So let's get a little more in depth as far as what they want to tell you right now. Okay, we have water your garden, nourishment, body care, tenderness, and rest. All paths lead home, inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze inward or turn your gaze within. And lost lands, soul memories and gifts. You've done this before. So there's definitely the sense here of the grass was not greener on the other side. You represent home to this person. There's also a sense of almost being very proud of you as well for the ways in which you've taken a very broken situation, a broken heart that you were left with, a lot of toxicity that was projected onto you. This could have been someone that tried to almost project blame, made you out to be the problem. You were putting too much pressure on them. They may have accused you of kind of misreading signs, that they were interested in you, and that could have just been an excuse to kind of save face. A lot of heaviness and regret about, it feels like, layers of sort of deception, lies, and kind of misleadings, mistruths that had characterized your interactions with them up to a point in time that are now kind of set in stone. The moment has come and passed to sort of rectify these things, and yet nevertheless they are haunted. They are haunted by what has happened, by their actions, by their inability to prioritize your value and worth. There's a sense of them understanding in a major way that you have outgrown them. If this is a person that you would entertain the possibility, if they were to approach you of rebuilding something, there's a sense of them understanding that they have squandered a lot of time. They have not been doing the work. They are not on the same page with you, energetically speaking, at this particular point in time. That this is something that it's not impossible for them to up level, but it's almost the sense of kind of like, if we're to progress forward, it needs to move at a Knight of Pentacles pace, because I've not been using this time apart very wisely, so I've got some catch-up work to do. I have to make up for lost time. There's a sense of almost panic that may tie into kind of a deeper sort of existential crisis relating to like a midlife crisis that they're going through, spiritual awakening, dark night of the soul, kind of looking around at the life that they've created for themselves and almost feeling like a stranger in their own reality. What have I done is kind of the energy that's coming through very overwhelmingly here. That there's a sense of they no longer have access to you, maybe for very realistic and understandable reasons, and it's a sense of this is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to watch you thriving. And it feels to be something that it compounds in some way, whatever degree of like personal suffering that they're going through at this point in time. Maybe just by virtue of the fact that they're having to watch you live your best life and kind of look around at the nature of what they've built for themselves. And it's not, the reality's not matching up with their expectation of where things should be at for themselves personally, or whatever other maybe connection they had invested in, or even someone that had wanted to keep their options open, that maybe that player lifestyle is getting old at this particular point in time, or they've not been able to meet or find anyone else that they had the same degree of connection with that they've had with you, and it's helped them to appreciate kind of what they have had now that it's gone. And it feels to be something that it's kind of like not knowing really where to go from here, not knowing if it's possible to restart. They may even still be kind of entangled in situations where all they can really do is look. A little bit of torment to themselves in this capacity. They're kind of putting themselves through this suffering. They don't need to watch, and yet they can't take their eyes away, as a form of almost kind of like repentance or punishment in some sort of way, that there's a lot of guilt and shame that they may have denied that has existed based on what's happened in this situation. But relatively speaking, you know, around the time that these energies are coming through, they're now in a position of no longer being in denial about that, kind of sitting in that deep and uncomfortable truth of not being very happy with themselves about how they handled this situation, and also not really feeling worthy of your forgiveness, but understanding on some level that they may be in the midst of a karmic cycle, or it's their karma to have to almost watch you move on into love with somebody else, to watch you move on and better yourself in the aftermath of what has happened, versus them who has chosen almost a path that they felt fed and fulfilled them on an ego level, and it might be something where they've kind of reached a ceiling, it's plateaued, or it's even starting to crumble, that it's not kind of everything it seemed to be or everything that it promised to be, and sort of the cost of that is the potential of what they could have had with you. There's a deep realization about that. It's an uncomfortable weight, it feels like, that sits within them. But let's get a few more oracle cards and then I'll move on to some message cards. Okay, we have White Tara, Resilience, My Spirit Endures. Goddess Boan, Power, I Fill My Cup. And Goddess Sulis, Clarity, I Am a Visionary. So they definitely, again, see what they have now that it's gone. There's a lot of sexual energy being directed towards you, a deep attraction that they have towards you, a sense of you've never looked this good, you look better than ever, you look a lot better than the last time they saw you, or considering everything you've been through, or what they can kind of assume or guess that you've been through in the aftermath of what they know that they have put you through. There's an acknowledgement here that there's a radiance, there's a glow. You wear your wisdom like diamonds. It's something that it's very humbling for them. The reality, it feels like, and this can speak to almost where they're trying to look on the bright side or like a silver lining of this situation, but there's almost something to where they feel that it's due to or influenced by or only by virtue of the fact that they have put you through so much anguish that it's allowed you to kind of rise into this version of you. And so they're seeing that as a very empowered thing for you. They're seeing you at this point in time in your life in a very confident energy. You're headed in a very beautiful direction. You've created some sort of balance for yourself. Even if you feel very out of sorts, this is what this person is picking up on, energetically speaking. And it's almost something to where it feels like they are willing to kind of continue to hold sort of like the weight of this guilt inside, maybe just remain on the outskirts of your life, looking in, not wanting to kind of create more drama for you and more chaos, because they understand how arduous of a process it was to cultivate this version of you, or whatever you have going on in your life, or whatever sort of healing practices that you have been drawn toward that may be creating progress for you in terms of healing that you might not even be aware of, but this person and even other people in your life or in general may be able to sense a shift in a positive direction. There's a sense here of this person having cried tears for you, kind of they are now sitting in the reality of crying over spilt milk. You may be picking up a lot of heaviness from them energetically, a lot of mournful energy. There may be, it feels like there might almost be a lot of telepathy where they're giving those apologies that they never did in person, or that they feel that it would almost be disruptive to your life to introduce themselves or reintroduce themselves at this point in time to speak some sort of truth. So they're just sort of sending that out from the heart space. It feels like they are seeing you as a very powerful individual who in some way has mastered your own emotions. And there's an essence here of being very inspired by you, by this. This may be a saving grace, this form of inspiration. If this person's ever going to dig themselves out of whatever hole they find themselves in, emotionally speaking, it feels that watching you, being inspired by you, something in that capacity, maybe the push or motivation that they need to really get down to the bare bones and start to help themselves, perhaps for the first time in their life, to work through whatever has motivated them to kind of create and act out patterns, such as what you've experienced with them in the past, and what it feels like they're still in some way enmeshed with or embroiled with currently in their own life. So let's get some message cards and get some more words that this person wants you to know right now. Okay, and they say, no one can change my love for you. So this is definitely something where this is not an out of sight, out of mind situation, even if it's been a long time since you've been in communication with this individual or things ended very badly. They have held affection for you this whole time. It's something that they are almost anchoring themselves to. They could be idealizing that a little bit, putting you on some degree of a pedestal, because things feel to be very kind of uncomfortable in their life, in the sense that there may be things crumbling, or almost just the walls have closed in, and they're sensing the reality that like this is as good as it gets in whatever choice that they've made, wherever they've invested themselves. And so it's something to where they may, almost through a nostalgic kind of energy, be looking back on something that made them feel more alive, which feels to be the connection with you. And it's almost using that as like escapism or some kind of fantasy to avoid the nature of their daily reality, or kind of the bed that they've made for themselves, literally or figuratively, that they are now having to kind of exist in day after day. And they also say, I know you are right. I am trying to forgive myself. So heaviness there over how they treated you in the past, how they took your kindness for weakness, took your love for granted, failed to appreciate the value of what you were adding to their life, failed to appreciate that you might have been kind of that cue or indicator to them to expand beyond just pursuing things that looked very appealing on the surface level in terms of the criteria for romantic partners, and to start to prioritize things on more of a subtle level, aspects of character, who a person is and as an individual. That now these things have value, have meaning, have importance. Kind of the glitter and the glitz of superficial charm may have worn off in terms of other circumstances or another person in particular that they had chosen to invest in. Now they are wanting substance. Now they are wanting something where they can truly just be themselves and be very vulnerable, and they are attaching the idea of that to what they had experienced in the past with you. And it's creating a lot of sense of being very unable to kind of move beyond that. How could I have been such a fool to let a person like that go? They also say, I keep a close eye on your social media. So confirmation of that like Page of Swords energy, watching from afar. It feels like they are most likely not following you on social media, but may almost just be every day kind of looking you up on social media, checking out the social media, deleting the search history. So that can relate to somebody that's still in a third party situation, to where there's almost an understanding of, I can't approach you at this point in time with anything as far as honesty or apology, because I'm still involved maybe in the very situation that they left you for, or chose over you, or a sense of almost kind of like, I can't give you anything of very kind of high value and integrity beyond just an explanation. And it feels like they want so much more than to just provide some kind of one-sided closure. They want to do more than just speak their truth and move on their way. It's almost like they're kind of tormenting themselves, though, by sort of sitting there and watching you from afar, watching you with the sense of longing, and looking very realistically at the nature of their reality, and questioning if what they have to provide or what they have to give is that adequate to rebuild some kind of bond, or would it make matters worse for them to approach you. They also say telepathically communicate with me. So confirmation there that if they are not in a position or are not brave enough to step forth and say something to you in the material world, they have no qualms with reaching out telepathically. For some, this is going to be very deliberately. I'm going to send you a telepathic message, and then they go about whatever their process of doing that, or whatever they are exploring or experimenting with to try and kind of convey these signals or messages to you. For others, this is going to be something where it's almost the byproduct of energy flows where attention goes. You're heavily on their mind. This situation, coupled with a lot of regret, it's translating very much to you in terms of there may be radio silence. They may be just watching from the shadows, but saying nothing. Nevertheless, their energy is so focused towards you that it's almost reaching out in a way that supersedes whatever the ego has determined is the best course of action. They also say you will hear from me soon. So that can be a confirmation either of a telepathic message, maybe a regular time every day where you sort of feel this person or hear from them telepathically. For others, though, this can indicate a leap of faith. Sooner or later, the pressure will build, and there'll be a sense of even just needing to reach out and compliment you on how you are presenting at this point in time, or what they've heard about you, what they know about you. For others, it's going to be the sense of shooting their shot. Is it too little, too late? Can we fix this? Can we grow beyond what has happened? Are we still compatible? Can we rediscover one another? Would you be willing to give me another chance? They also say, I have inner childhood wounds. So again, this may be something where the connection challenged them to grow. You presented them a form of healthy love that they were not used to, and so they chose to move in the direction of something that maybe had kind of toxic elements to it. Something that was a little more within the comfort zone of, yes, there's emotions for another person, but it's not kind of like deep soul-seated love, which might have been what they felt for you in the past. Something where a decision to kind of choose the easier route, choose the partner or the relationship that fit in maybe with what they were used to in love and partnership, mimicked very well their childhood and upbringing. An individual who sort of fit in with what family and friends were expecting for them as the type of person that they should be, with the nature of a dynamic and partnership. All of these things that feels that are the source of regret, kind of a sore subject for them. They know that they have sabotaged this situation, that they likely have contributed strongly to how things may have become fractured between the two of you. And at this point in time right now, some have worked through those childhood wounds and are kind of gearing up to bring forth some sort of communication, to put it out on the line, kind of show who they are at this point in time, see if you're willing to entertain something more or something new with them. For others, though, this is the essence of almost kind of, like a game of hide and seek, kind of hiding in the shadows, watching you from afar, but not, at least at this point in time, being on a level of emotional maturity and development, or even just the life that they're living may not be suitable to coming forth to you with an apology and expecting very realistically that there would be much to offer, or that you'd be willing to entertain bringing them back into your life after what has happened or what they've put you through. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got W, Y, P, V, R, G, V, H, J, D, I, T, L, K, and M. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I just restocked my shop with tons of new dream catchers, so if you are interested in checking those out, I encourage you to do so. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Shows the green calcite. So I'm just going to be using oracle cards for this reading, and let's start out by taking a look at who's thinking about you right now, and then we'll get into what is on their mind. What do they really want to tell you? Okay, we have the Wild Child, the Balancer, and the Relaxer. So this is giving me the vibes of like a secret admirer kind of energy. Somebody who you may know on just a casual basis. So maybe somebody that you're following one another on social media. It could be somebody that is almost like new to your community. Maybe this is somebody, if you're in school, you may have a class with this individual. You just started to get to know them or to see them. You don't spend much time with them on a regular basis. This can relate to a new coworker. Or just somebody who has kind of freshly become aware of you or come into the equation in some way. And it feels to be something that, with this energy of Wild Child, this is almost like a dark horse energy. This is the type of person you might not normally gravitate toward in terms of romantic partners. They themselves may be very different from anyone that you've dated, but in a very positive way, it feels like. This individual, although on the surface may be very different from you, or even just in terms of like lifestyles, hobbies, interests, different kind of like subtleties about each of you, there's a sense of almost you complement one another, or you would complement one another. This person's close enough in proximity to you that they have some degree of interaction with you, or almost kind of, it feels to be someone that's very practical, that they understand that the impression they have of you at this point is very much one-sided. It's filtered through some sort of lens of either what you post on social media and what they're able to sort of glean or pick up about you in that capacity. It feels like you really haven't spoken with this person yet necessarily, or it maybe just has been kind of friendly interactions, and so there's kind of yet to be sort of a declaration or an expression of deeper feelings. There's an understanding on their part that they need to get to know you more, so they're not kind of jumping to the conclusion of this is the one I've always been looking for, but it's almost a sense of they're very intrigued because you're so different from their usual type. They as well, very different from your usual type, and yet it works somehow. So let's take a look at a few more of these cards, get a little more in depth as far as who this person is that's thinking about you right now, and then I'll get into those details of what they are thinking about. Okay, we have Moon, Cycles, Witch's Cottage, Security, and Spell, Manifestation. So this energy with spell and manifestation can definitely speak about like social media, anything as far as like school is concerned, where you'd be writing papers, projects, maybe you've worked on a group project with this individual. That can also speak to like a coworker, maybe somebody who's just been transferred to your division, to your branch, to your office. You're having a little more one-on-one time with them. I'm hearing training, so this could either be somebody who's training you or you've trained them to give a little more of a clue of who this might be. There's a sense of this is somebody who may almost present as very stoic, very guarded. You know very little about them. Like if you were to compare social media profiles, it feels that there's a lot more that can be derived as far as an understanding of a facet of who you are based on what you post. So a particular theme, maybe something as far as like business is concerned, as far as your social media presence. There's something that very much defines a certain aspect of who you are that could be easily kind of learned or through observing social media. On the other side of that, it feels like this person posts very little, in keeping with kind of their guarded or secretive nature, just by virtue of the fact of whatever it is they use social media for. This might be somebody that posts like once a year a photo of something, but they're nevertheless on there constantly kind of silently observing other people. This is a sense of, with this energy of the moon, this is definitely not the vibration of somebody that you've had a relationship with before that's like coming back from the past. It feels to be something that it's possible there's been a little flirtation back and forth if you are in direct communication with this person already at this point in time. But it feels that emotions, feelings, tenderness, this is almost like it's not appropriate to talk about it yet, or it's not a subject that has been broached between the two of you. There's not been occasion to do this. It again can be like secret admirer, where they're kind of just watching you from afar. That imagination is starting to kind of branch out into the territory of, I wonder what it would be like to experience romance with this person. I wonder if we have anything in common. It feels like very perplexing in ways to this person why they're so drawn to you, because you're so different from who they normally gravitate towards, something that they're able maybe to even see or know, or just sort of theorize as far as the type of people that you might gravitate toward, and things about them actually, or in their perception, that would be very different from that criteria, to where they may almost be sort of holding back at this point in time. I don't know how we would fit into one another's lives, so I'll just sit here holding these feelings. It feels to be something, kind of a consequence of that is they're almost manifesting in an opportunity to say something, or maybe working up the courage to speak to you. This may be somebody who has started kind of commenting on posts that you've made. If it's somebody that you deal with face to face, they may have started going out of their way to create more conversation with you. Things that are a little more specific, a little more personal, a little more direct, but not necessarily in the nature of I'm expressing an interest in you romantically. It's almost just creating more of an excuse for some one-on-one time. That can be another clue or indicator as far as who this is. For others, this is going to be something where it may not resonate with anyone off the top of your head, which can definitely then confirm secret admirers, somebody who's aware of you, you're not aware of them. So there really wouldn't be very many markers for you to say, oh yeah, it's this person, because you're not even aware that they're kind of there and watching. But this is definitely somebody who they have picked up on you, you're on their radar in some capacity, and there's a degree of like fascination with this. There's a sense of almost kind of working out the angles of how would I approach this? What would the logistics of this situation look like? Would it work out between the two of us, or would this almost be kind of a grievous error and a mistake to deviate so far off course from what is known and what is familiar as far as love and romance is concerned? So you definitely have this person in deep thought at this particular point in time. Whoever this is, you've captivated their attention. So let's dig in and see, what do they want to tell you right now? Okay, we have Breath of the Cosmos, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. Called Soul Gifts and Training, it is time to step up. And Child of the Cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you. So with kind of both these two references to the cosmos here, this is definitely somebody who senses some kind of destined connection. They may be playing with the idea of you being a soulmate of theirs. This can be something where there's almost like a sense of deja vu or a recognition, something that kind of keeps calling them and compelling them back to watching, to thinking about making a move towards you, to starting to peel back those layers as far as what would romance with this person look like. If they could tell you anything right now, what they'd want to tell you is that they felt very called towards you, resonated with you immediately when they first met you, when they first looked into your eyes, when they first spoke with you, when they first heard your voice, or saw a photograph of you even. It stirred something within them. Your energy feels very familiar and is almost kind of calling them from a deeper place than they have the ability to kind of rationally or intellectually justify to themselves what that draw and attraction is. This may have been somebody who has been watching you for a while. They could have been fighting feelings for a while, kind of telling themselves we're too different to work. The circumstances, the nature of kind of what they would need to do in order to reach out to you. There may be things to consider as far as that's concerned as well. If it's a coworker, we did have that reference here to training, gifts and training, so that can confirm what was coming through earlier as far as like channeled energy. But there can be something as far as what is the line that I cannot cross if this is a professional relationship, that we need to kind of preserve that working relationship above and beyond kind of any possibilities of romance. So there may be sort of very practical reasons why they are not saying anything at this point in time, or why they've been kind of thinking this matter over or trying to approach it very delicately. It may also tie into the level of kind of this destined connection, this soul bond that they feel with you, that they don't quite know how to approach this, or they're wanting to really kind of move towards you, giving this the most optimal chance to thrive, rather than kind of like bombarding you or themselves too quickly with like an intensity of expression, or again, kind of the nature of how they may need to just sort of pop up seemingly randomly and reach out, that it almost feels to be a struggle. If they just show up in your DMs on social media, with this proclamation that they feel such a deep bond with you, realistically, are you gonna believe that? Are you going to reciprocate that? Are you going to want to explore that more? Or are you just going to dismiss this person? That feels to be a very real factor for some people as far as what might be holding them back at this point in time, is they don't know how to come across as serious, trustworthy, as somebody that you could hear what they have to say and want to sort of explore that more. So a little bit of strategy as far as maybe waiting to create an excuse, observing that social media until they see some sort of window or inlet to connect with you more directly, especially if they've started almost kind of like commenting on things on social media. They may be waiting for like the perfect thing that you post that sort of gets an unrelated conversation started, that they're hoping can kind of be that door to let's get to know one another better, and with kind of these broader intentions of let's see what might happen romantically speaking. But let's dig a little bit deeper into what else they want to say, and then I'll get into some message cards. Okay, we have Goddess Brigid, spark, my eternal flame glows brightly. Lourdes baths, renewal, I am refreshed with the light of love. And baths of Aphrodite, nourishment, I bathe in the sacred springs of love. So they're definitely wanting to bathe you with affection, wanting to outpour towards you emotionally speaking, but there's a degree of modesty or embarrassment about that. Maybe based on, if this is like a work situation, this person could be a boss, a supervisor, or a manager, and there almost might be kind of the question about, is this appropriate? Can I approach this person in this capacity? If they reject me, is this going to negatively impact our working relationship with one another? Or again, the sense of like, if this is just someone who's encountered you on social media and you haven't really had any direct interactions with one another, you've never met each other face to face, there's almost a sense of maybe they're very old fashioned, or this is new for them, or they've never developed feelings for somebody in this capacity and sort of through this means and method, to where there's a sense of almost like rules that might apply in their day-to-day reality. Like if they were to encounter someone and sensed a bond or chemistry face to face, they may have no problem kind of pursuing that or initiating some other kind of relationship to get to know a person better. But it feels like the nature of this dynamic, however it is that they are sort of connected to you, that's a struggle as far as how do I approach this? How do I speak some sort of personal truth without sort of having, the means and method of delivery of that kind of working against me, automatically counting me out because of what I have to do in order to sort of introduce or project my energy more directly towards this person. This energy here with Goddess Brigid and Spark definitely, again, confirms this like past life energy, soul connection, destined connection. You may have this person deeply in the process of kind of looking up soul connections, soulmates. For some people, this person may even wonder, are you their twin flame? They could be going through a lot of sort of internal struggle and changes without ever having spoken to you, without ever having said anything, or said very much if it's somebody that you're dealing with face to face. But behind closed doors, emotionally speaking, they're going into some very deep territory within themselves. But also, again, trying to remain very practical and very grounded, which can contribute to sort of that energy of modesty of, realistically, we'd have to get to know one another. Honestly, I only know a version of this person that is presented publicly or in this situation or in kind of the nature and the confines of how we're interacting with one another up to this point in time. And so there's almost this essence of them trying to ground themselves down into reality and not getting carried away in fantasy. And nevertheless, they're very magnetized towards you, very compelled towards you. A sense of, if you've talked with this person or interacted with this person, they may be somebody who holds eye contact for a very long time or almost looks like they're deep in thought or kind of perplexed when you're talking to them, because this can almost be something where there's sort of, and some may have said, even when you sort of first met them or early on at some point, do I know you from somewhere? You look so familiar. And if they haven't said that, that's churning within them. Little things, almost kind of like who you are as a person, what you look like, mannerisms, the way you talk, the way your mind works. Many different things might almost not remind them of anybody that they've dealt with in this lifetime, and yet feels very familiar, to where this situation may have launched this person onto some kind of spiritual quest. That could be the process of them sort of readying themselves to move in closer, to shoot their shot, to come out of this observer energy and actually start to participate with you, or to find a way forward toward building a deeper bond. If you already interact with this person in a face-to-face manner or in a direct manner currently, there's a desire to deepen that, to kind of wade out into some deeper waters with you, or start to really kind of cleanse away an energy of mystery between the two of you, and to start to move more in the direction of them making the effort to almost make their presence more pronounced in your life, introduce themselves to you for the first time, or again start to kind of dip their toe in the water, or the idea of kind of let's branch out into more of an emotional connection, or to exploring if that's possible, or something that we both want in this situation. So see what they want to tell you from their higher self right now. Okay, and they say, I do talk about you. So they may be getting advice from family and friends how to approach this situation. This could be somebody, if they've gone down the rabbit hole of like soul connections, twin flames even, this could be somebody who's watching tarot readings, reading articles and blogs, maybe commenting on community posts, trying to get some sort of advice, guidance for what it is that they are experiencing. You may have initiated or activated, quite without realizing it, some kind of heart chakra opening within this person, or like a kundalini awakening, something that just as soon as they became aware of you, came into contact with your energy, it almost feels to have set off like a domino effect within them energetically, that sort of in the midst of finding what to do in this situation with you, finding a way forward, they also feel to be kind of in this process of self-discovery, deeper layers within themselves, broadening their understanding of kind of what's possible as far as romance. They don't quite know how to move towards you, because what they're feeling and what they're sensing, it's almost beyond what they've known or experienced as far as chemistry, attraction, or again, just very sort of in a practical sense, the nature of how they have come into contact with you may be so outside of the box of how they usually meet romantic partners, that they don't really know how to approach this. So they could be getting some advice from people, kind of running over a script even in their head, sort of, what do I say to get this person's attention and to get them to take me seriously? They also say I've been expanding my spiritual knowledge. Confirmation right there that they do sense a unique bond between the two of you. It's very compelling. It's very mysterious, very otherworldly. They may have, if this is somebody who started meditating or they meditate, this can be somebody who has connected with you energetically, or even dreamed of you prior to meeting you or prior to seeing you, or in the aftermath of having connected with you in whatever way that resonates, relatively speaking. This is something where it almost, they've touched upon your energy, and now there's kind of this whole new world that's opening up as far as visionings of past lives that the two of you have shared, parallel timelines, deeper kind of things on a quantum level that are happening, that it feels like keep whetting this person's thirst for knowledge, thirst for more of this connection, more of this experience.
what is the nature of what I'm feeling, and how do I kind of take that gravity, that intensity, that kind of loftiness of what I'm experiencing, and do something with that in a practical sense, so that this isn't just spending the rest of my days sitting there wondering what might have been. This feels like someone who's very proactive in finding a way beyond kind of this chasm of obstacle that currently exists. They're not content to just sort of sit there and wonder. So they're taking in information, and at the same point in time, it feels like looking for ways beyond whatever the conditions are between the two of you in order to move in closer, or to present themselves in such a way that you can look at them as a viable option for a romantic candidate. They also say, don't think because we don't talk. I don't want you because I do. So that can confirm someone that you've never had a conversation with, total secret admirer energy, to where when and if this person approaches, it would be very unexpected, yet there may be that shared sense of familiarity, deja vu. You may do a double take with this person, and this is interesting, confuse them for a celebrity. For some people, they're going to look like a celebrity, or maybe somebody that you know. They may look like someone from your past, perhaps someone you've dated, or just somebody that you know, where this may be kind of that mutual sense of recognition, something beyond the surface level that can definitely translate into the essence of you and this individual have a complex relationship that has preceded this lifetime and will likely continue in different manifestations beyond this lifetime. And so it feels at a point where when and if this person sort of approaches you and comes out of hiding, you're going to be feeling almost what it is that they're feeling at this particular point in time in a different way, maybe not as intense, but it feels like there will definitely be that sort of shared current of this feels out of the ordinary. It feels significant. It feels noteworthy. It feels familiar. And yet this is, for all intents and purposes, a stranger or someone I don't know very well that I'm getting to know better. They also say, I'm done running from this connection. So the nature of obstacles or challenges in this situation may have caused this person to kind of hold back for a period of time, watch, observe. They may have chalked this up as being too outside of the box to work, the two of you being too different, at least as far as what they know about you, to truly be compatible, not knowing how to break the ice between the two of you, or how to carry the situation forward, may have caused them to just sort of sit and stuff this kind of curiosity or draw or attraction towards you. But it feels that they've evolved beyond that. They almost can't hold themselves back. They're no longer content with how they position themselves, and there's a motivation to move forward, to find a way forward. They also say, I'm a better person because of you. You've really changed me. So in some way, it feels like you've affected positive change, perhaps just simply in the form of making this person kind of question the types of people that they were settling for or calling in, or kind of were determining were their type, that in ways you defy that sort of expectation or definition. So it's opening their mind to more inclusiveness. This can be something as well that based on, if it's somebody that might be like a coworker or, a classmate, you're in school with one another, or this can even be something where based on sort of what's coming through with social media, if you've got like a social media presence, a following, some kind of spiritually based business, online business, maybe coaching, just different sort of things that you post or you put out there. This person's gaining a lot of insight on an individual level. Your words speak to them like others have not before, or they kind of energetically feel something beyond whatever it is that you're conveying, that it's more than just physical attraction. It's more than just curiosity. It's more than just sort of like, this feels familiar. I need to go and investigate and sort of determine why. Who are we to one another? What is to develop in this situation? That it's almost,
even your entry into their life, or when they've become aware of you, this has catalyzed some profound change within them on multiple levels, to start to examine aspects of themselves that they had previously been unaware of. And it feels like to start to ask very broad-based questions that might be outside of the range of kind of how they've looked at the world prior to you sort of affecting them in the way that you have already. And they also say, you really are the best thing that has ever happened to me. So they are optimistic about the future, excited about the possibilities of changing this situation, coming out of the shadows, presenting themselves in the light of day to you, so that you can perhaps get to know one another, start to build and develop something, or at the very least so that they don't just have to sit there with the burning question of, is there the possibility of mutual chemistry here? Is what I'm feeling and sensing as far as a draw towards this person, is this something that they could reciprocate with me as well? Or is this something that I might need to explore? Kind of what are those deeper layers of what has called me toward this person? What has compelled me toward this person? What is making it so that I can't kind of disconnect from the idea of being fascinated with sort of evolving this situation forward? So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got W, V, E, C, X, Q, D, I, Z, S, J, K, I, M, and W. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop. There's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I just added a bunch of new dream catchers to my shop if you are interested in looking at any of those. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.